Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Raiders Report, where we dive deep into the silver and black world of the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm your host, bringing you the latest from the heart of Raider Nation. Now, picture this. It's midway through the 2025 NFL season, and the air in Allegiant Stadium, affectionately known as the Death Star, is thick with anticipation, frustration, and that unbreakable Raiders spirit. We've got a team that's 2-4, scratching and clawing their way through a tough AFC West, and the trade deadline is looming like a storm cloud over the Vegas Strip. But here's the big question that's got everyone buzzing. Could the Raiders be sellers, and who's the prime candidate to ship out? Stick with me, folks, because we're about to unpack a juicy rumor from ESPN that's putting the spotlight on a key player. And no, it's not the indomitable Max Crosby. Let's get into it. First off, let's set the scene with a quick recap of where the Raiders stand. After a rocky start to the season, Las Vegas finally notched their second win last week against the Tennessee Titans. Now, don't get me wrong, a win's a win in this league, but this one? It felt a bit like beating up on the little brother who's having a bad day. The Titans looked listless out there, arguably the worst team in the NFL right now, turning the ball over left and right and struggling to move the chains. Raiders quarterback Aiden O'Connell managed the game well, connecting on some key passes, while the defense, led by that ferocious edge rusher Max Crosby, sacked the Titans' QB multiple times and forced turnovers that sealed the deal. Highlights from that Week 6 matchup show Crosby exploding off the line like a missile, and running back Zamir White grinding out those tough yards. But overall, it was an uninspiring victory that leaves more questions than answers for a team that's supposed to be building toward contention. Now, shifting gears to the rumor mill, because that's where things heat up. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler dropped a bombshell that's got teams around the league perking up their ears. According to sources he's spoken with, the Raiders are open to trading their star wide receiver, Jakobi Meyers, but they're not actively shopping him just yet. The sense is that Vegas wants to play out the season before making any seismic roster moves. But here's the kicker. Meyers actually requested a trade back in the preseason after extension talks fell flat. He's in a contract year now, and if he hits free agency in 2026, it's hard to see him sticking around in the silver and black. So, why not flip him for assets while his value is sky high? Let's break this down, Raider fans, because Jakobi Meyers isn't just any receiver. He's a proven playmaker who's been a bright spot in an otherwise turbulent offense. Signed from the New England Patriots a couple of years back, Meyers has quietly become one of the most reliable slot receivers in the game. Remember, this guy's got 4 800-yard seasons under his belt, including a monster 1,000-yard campaign in 2024, even with subpar quarterback play throwing his way. In 2025 so far, through 6 games, he's hauled in over 30 catches for around 400 yards and a couple of touchdowns, showing that crisp route running and those sticky hands that make him a quarterback's best friend. Tactically, Meyers excels in the short to intermediate game, using his quickness to create separation and turn quick slants into big gains. He's like a chess piece on the field, versatile, dependable, and always in the right spot. But with the Raiders' offense sputtering at times, averaging under 20 points per game this season, trading him could open doors for younger talent. Speaking of which, imagine the ripple effects here. If Meyers gets moved, it clears the runway for rookies like Donte Thornton and Jack Beck to get more snaps and targets. Thornton's got that blazing speed, clocked a 4.3 in the 40 at the combine, and could stretch the field vertically, something the Raiders desperately need to complement Davante Adams' possession-style routes. Beck, on the other hand, is a tough, physical receiver out of LSU, with hands like glue and a knack for winning contested catches. Giving these kids extended looks now would help the front office evaluate the future of the wide-out room. And let's not forget the return. Experts are saying Meyers could fetch a third-round pick, maybe even packaged with something else for more. In a league where draft capital is king, that's gold for a team with holes to fill on the offensive line, in the secondary, and maybe even at quarterback if O'Connell doesn't solidify his spot. But to really appreciate this moment, we gotta zoom out and look at the Raiders' storied history, because this franchise has never shied away from bold moves. Born in Oakland back in 1960 as part of the AFL, the Raiders embodied rebellion from day one under the legendary Al Davis. His motto, "Just win, baby." And when they did, 3 Super Bowl titles in the 1970s and 1980s, with icons like quarterback Ken, the Snake Stabler slinging passes to Cliff Branch, and running back Marcus Allen bulldozing through defenses. John Madden coached them to glory in Super Bowl XI, and who can forget Charles Woodson's tuck rule controversy or his Hall of Fame career? The team's bounced from Oakland to LA and now to Vegas, but that pirate swagger remains. Trades. Oh, the Raiders have a history of wheeling and dealing. Remember when they shipped off Amari Cooper to the Cowboys in 2018 for a first-rounder? That pick became safety Jonathan Abram. Or going further back, trading for quarterback Rich Gannon in 1999, who led them to Super Bowl 37. If they move Meyers, it's in that same vein, retooling for the long haul, much like Al Davis would have done. Comparatively, let's stack up some stats to put this in perspective. The Raiders' 2-4 start this year mirrors their 2022 season, when they finished 6-11 and missed the playoffs. But back then, they had Derek Carr at QB. Now it's O'Connell, who's shown flashes but thrown more picks than we'd like, 6 interceptions already. Defensively, they're holding opponents to about 24 points per game, better than last year's 26, thanks to Crosby's league-leading pressures. He's got 8 sacks through 6 games, folks. That's elite stuff. Meyers' production. His 1,000 yards in 2024 put him in the top 20 receivers league-wide, despite the QB carousel. If traded, he'd join a market where guys like DeAndre Hopkins or T. Higgins might also be available, but Meyers' age, still just 28, and consistency make him a premium asset. Seasonal impacts. A trade could tank the offense short-term, dropping their passing yards from 220 per game to under 200, but it accelerates the rebuild, potentially landing a high draft pick in 2026 for a franchise QB. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Let's imagine what the key players might be saying. Picture this. I caught up with head coach Antonio Pierce in a fictional post-practice chat. "Look, Jakobi's a warrior," Pierce might say. "He's given us everything, but this league is about building for tomorrow. If the right deal comes, we'll consider it, for the team, for Raider Nation." And from Meyers himself, "I love Vegas, the fans are electric, but I gotta do what's best for my family and career. If it's time to move on, I'll ball out wherever I land." Even Max Crosby, the heart and soul of this defense, could chime in, "Jakobi's my guy, but we're Raiders, we adapt, we overcome." Commitment to excellence means making tough calls. Fans on the street. One die-hard from Oakland told me, "Trade Meyers? Only if it brings us closer to another ring. We've waited too long since 1983. Looking ahead, the implications are massive. If the Raiders pull the trigger by the November 5th deadline, it signals a full pivot to rebuild mode, potentially improving their draft position if they stumble to, say, 5-12. Playoff odds. Slim at 15% right now, per oddsmakers, but with rivals like the Chiefs dominating the West, Patrick Mahomes and crew are 5-1. Vegas needs every edge. Predictions. I see Meyers landing with a contender like the Chiefs or Bills, boosting their Super Bowl chances, while the Raiders snag that third-rounder to draft a stud offensive lineman. Long-term, this could set up a 2026 resurgence, maybe with a new QB like whoever's hot in the draft. But don't count out a late-season rally. Remember the 1976 Raiders, who started slow but won it all. And tying it to pop culture, this drama feels straight out of a Hollywood script. Think Any Given Sunday meets the Vegas Lights, with the Raiders' rebellious legacy echoing the underdog vibes of movies like Invincible. Current events. With the economy buzzing in Vegas post-pandemic, a winning team could supercharge tourism at the Death Star. In closing, Raider Nation, stay passionate, stay loyal. This rumor about Meyers is just another chapter in our wild ride. Tune in next week as the Raiders face the Rams. Will they shock the world? Hit that subscribe button, follow us for more breakdowns, and remember, once a Raider, always a Raider. Just win, baby.